Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Detour Essentials Live. We're so excited about being back. We took a little break last week because it was Ash Wednesday. And so we wanted to be mindful of that. We know that a lot of people were traveling, people were just, celebrating or acknowledging rather Ash Wednesday. And so, we had to come back with a bang, right? And I'm super excited about the guest that we have tonight. We've been trying to get her for about 8 seasons now because we're at season 8. So we're happy that we've finally been able to get her. But if you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are here every Wednesday. Let us know where you're joining. Well, you see, some of our veterans already know that we're going to ask, right? Because Althea said, hello from New York.
Yeah.
I cannot believe you are not the first one online today, Rochelle. But we're happy that you showed up. You said today was an emotionally draining day for you. So we're hoping that we know that this episode will help to recharge you. Hi, Suzanne. Auntie Normadel, how are you? Hi, Lauren. We're happy that you were able to make it live this week. So, guys, we're here every single Wednesday, when we're in season at 8 p.m. There's usually 3 of us. Naomi is missing today because she had something urgent that she had to deal with. We're hoping that she's going to be able to join us at some point. But Naomi Garrick is a part of the Emerge Trio. I am Kathy Goodall. I am a leadership and growth coach. I am a marketing consultant and a very proud member of the Emerge Trio.
That is nice, Catherine. It's good that it's 3 of us, So, if anything happens, like the rest of us just finish the race and stuff and run an extra leg. That is good. Can I be night tonight?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Hi, Emergers. My name is Naomi Garrick. I am the CEO and founder of Garrick Communications, and I'm also known as the PR chick. Garrick Communications is a boutique PR firm located in Kingston, Jamaica. And I serve my clients by ensuring that they understand, they capitalize on, and energize their personal brands. Over to you, Rochelle. Hi, Nye. That was great. My name is Rochelle Cameron, and I am a member of the Emerge Trio. I am just so psyched for tonight. I was so excited just going through today because of our guest. And our guest for me has been such a mentor and a mentor in my own life and watching her grow in corporate. I am an attorney at law. I'm CEO and founder of Prescient Consulting Services Limited. Today, somebody asked me, what do you do? And I asked, what do you need to get done? Yeah, I solve problems that you didn't know that you have. And I connect and pull disparate, chaotic pieces together in a way that companies are able to capitalize too on the brilliance of their team members and affect their bottom line, because at the end of the day, profits matter. So today I'm here with Catherine. Catherine, happy March. I'm March, you didn't know, say today I'm March?
No, I can't believe that today is March 1st. And next week, we're celebrating International Women's Day already on March 8th. So, guys, did you know that the theme this year is, and let me read it because I don't want to mess it up, it's Digit All, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. And it is the perfect person that we have today to help us kick off the month of March, Women's History Month as well. This March 8th, governments, activists, and private sector are all being called on to power on their efforts to make the digital world safer, more inclusive, and more equitable. And our guest tonight has been spearheading that in so many different ways.
Yeah, and leading transformation, digital transformation before we didn't even know what that was.
What that was. Some of us still don't even know what that is. So I'm excited. I'm so excited, and I'm gonna hand over to our MC extraordinaire to do the introduction.
Okay. Hi, Nicalia. Hi, Nicalia said I can't wait to hear from Nadeen, and I think a lot of people today have been following Nadeen and are like what time shall come on. So she's here, guys. She's backstage. I'm excited, Sotil. So let me give you a little story. I met with Nadeen last year. We met for lunch for probably about 6 hours. And we talked and talked and talked. And she shared so much. You recognize and see yourself in other women, in other amazing women. And, you know, it always makes you stop and just recognize how similar our journeys are and how much we can learn from each other and power up each other. And you're wondering, Nadeen, you see Nadeen, no, you say to yourself, where Nadeen come from? I hatch Nadeen, hatch. When Nadeen, did I go to school with Nadeen? Well, Nadeen's journey began in Bridgeport, St. Catherine, big up Portmore, because all good things come from Portmore, where she spent her early childhood before she moved to Bronx, New York. So if you never go to school in New York, she didn't go to your school in Jamaica, because I know everybody claims her. No, Nadeen has always been known for working hard and excelling academically. And she attended the top public school in New York City and received not partial, but full scholarships to pursue her bachelor's degree in financial economics at Binghamton University and her MBA in marketing and entrepreneurship at the Wharton School and University of Pennsylvania. So when you see her and you see the end product and you wonder where she got, know that it's been a lot of work that Nadeen has put into this. And you know, every time I hear Nadeen's bio and I hear after 2 decades in the United States, I'm going to say, Nadeen is more than 2 decades old, because you know that she looks barely over 18. She worked as a consultant at the premier global consulting firm McKinsey. Yeah, McKinsey. And as assistant vice president at JPMorgan Chase. So you're asking yourself, so how did she end up in Jamaica? Because after this, she not come back to Jamaica. So Nadeen, we hear about the brain drain. Nadeen is the brain pour back into Jamaica. She made the bold decision to return to Jamaica and join NCB as head of strategy. And she's known for that sharp business acumen and strategic vision. She worked closely with the leadership of the organization to develop plans that have propelled NCB to becoming the largest and most profitable financial institution in Jamaica and a top 5 institution in the English-speaking Caribbean. So Nadeen has been recognized locally and globally. And ladies and gentlemen, I am at pains to make sure that you understand this lady. And you know, sometimes when we hear our bios, because I know she's in the background, she's like, oh, Rochelle, don't say anymore. You know, how we help others to move forward is to show them it can be done and how it is done. Now, she has been the sole representative of the English and Spanish-speaking Caribbean in the World Economic Forum's 27 cohort of young global leaders. She was recognized by FinTech Americas as one of the top 25 most innovative. You're not gonna get goose pimples.
Look at this literally.
She's co-creator of NCB's Capital Quest. Remember that very popular show? And she currently serves as Vice President of Marketing, Analytics, and Digital Division for National Commercial Bank. She's also CEO of the NCB Foundation. So we are talking about a multifaceted executive who has led on digital. In fact, she has been one of our premier leaders, not forget gender, just one of our premier leaders in digital transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, this mother of 2 daughters and wife, proud wife, has a guilty them a black TikTok around the world, because Nadeen also considers TikTok a source of learning. She is a continuous learner. She is the indefatigable. She is our very own Jamaican who has got the education overseas and the experience, and she come back and say, I am pouring back and fertilizing this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please make we welcome Nadeen Matthews Blair. Make a welcome her.
Oh my gosh, I was planning my entry and to be all serious and professional, but seriously, Rochelle, you have me like dying with laughter. I'm like, whose bio is that? What are you talking about?
Impossible.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening, audience from Jamaica and all over the world. Good evening. Happy International Women's History Month, March 1. Whoop, whoop. Happy birthday to my sister, Nicola Matthews Okome. Today is her secondary birthday. She's really born on February 29th. Her Side Hustle Pro podcast.
She needs to celebrate the 28th and the 1st.
Yes, just like how, I celebrate the whole month of April when it's, for my birthday.
Wow. Well, Nadeen, thank you. Thank you for saying yes and for joining us this evening.
Yes, I can't say no. Especially to Rochelle, who I credit with drawing me out. Yes, the 6-hour lunch. Real things.
She has that tendency. So, well, let's just jump right in because I feel like there's so much that we want to get through in 45 minutes. So, of course, we always start with your journey. You moved to New York as a child. You're clearly thriving in corporate America. What brought you back to Jamaica after 2 decades? Which I still think we need to fact check that 2 decades because, like Rochelle said, nothing like you could be, working in corporate America for 2 decades.
I appreciate that. And that would be important because my daughters are going to watch this and they're always asking me my age. I have yet to disclose because those young children know that anything you share,
everybody else knows.
All of their classmates, all family members, all friends, everyone they meet at the supermarket, etc., etc. So, before I made the leap to come back to Jamaica, I was actually at McKinsey Company, a premier consulting firm, and it was a wonderful experience. In consulting, you have the opportunity to work with different clients in different industries, in different geographies, and so I was learning a lot, which was the goal of joining a consulting firm. Mm-hmm. But the lifestyle is brutal. I was on a plane every Sunday or Monday morning heading to a client and getting back to Atlanta, where I lived at the time, every Thursday. So that combined with I wanted to get closer to my purpose and to find more meaning in my career led me to a decision to leave. And at the time, I actually wasn't thinking about coming back to Jamaica, even though it's something that I had contemplated when I was pursuing my MBA. I came to Jamaica, I did an internship. I was always open to that. But at the time, my now husband sent my resume to 4 CEOs in Jamaica. And Patrick Hilton, now President and Group CEO of NCB Financial Group, received it and called me the same day. And the rest, as they say, is history. That was in November 2009. And I started working at NCB February 15, 2010.
Wow.
And it has been an amazing ride.
Oh, well, you got me at my then.
I noticed that's what you're zoning on, right, Rosh?
Okay. No, but me like how him is like, no, mom, you have to come live here. And when you say, no, darling, I work at McKinsey, if it's like he's a work you want, let me help you. I love that.
You wasn't my husband then. We're contemplating marriage.
But after that, you would have to marry him.
Well, I credit him for helping me to find this amazing opportunity. It was not to move to be with him. That wasn't the basis of.
That wasn't your plan.
Right? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
No, Nadine, one of the things that we have talked about, and it was amazing hearing you put it. You come back to Jamaica, you've worked at McKinsey, you were born in Jamaica, you spent quite a bit of time overseas. And I think we take for granted how easy it is to just assimilate into our Jamaican. We're like, come on, rope in. But it wasn't just coming and making a whole set of friends and networks. You had to work on that.
Yes, I had to work on that. So one of the things that I actually admire about Jamaica, even though I'm not a direct beneficiary of it, are the strong high school networks and the strong university networks. But because those are so strong, it was very challenging to find a network when I first moved back. So fortunately, my work family was amazing and continues to be amazing. And then through work and through events, I started meeting women and friends all over the place. And so I have this hodgepodge of my network. They're not from university, they're not from high school, so Roshi, we go to lunch, you bring me to your vision boarding event, and then so I have my book club, this book club that I joined that Mariam McIntosh Robinson started. So it's lots of different individuals coming from different experiences, and I find that my network is very rich. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes. And what I love about that part of your story is sometimes we have this way that we're like, I've made all my friends already.
Yes. Oh no. Yeah.
And we have the capacity just to meet new people, to be in new settings, and just to create different pockets of relationships, because that is what life is about.
Yeah.
And you are your marketer, your digital expert. So I always say with Nadeen, I bet they just like they come up with something and they're like, I'm gonna call
Nadeen.
So Nadeen, coming to NCB, coming into Jamaica, having left McKinsey, the first part though is, what was that transition like from the US in consulting to a private sector company in Jamaica? What was that transition like?
I was fortunate because the transition was relatively smooth. And I say that relative to other stories I've heard of Jamaicans who have returned. And I give credit to, first of all, my boss at the time, Patrick Hilton, because he was a real buffer for me, not knowing the work culture. So as a consultant, you're very aggressive and outcomes oriented, and that was different at the time. So he provided a lot of shelter, and then I had amazingly supportive colleagues, Cherie Martin, Bob Blake, CEO of the bank, and my boss now. So I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate that the organization was also at a point where it was determined to move from being limited by what's possible for Jamaica, and that's part of what has made the role and the work at NCB so meaningful, because we were intent on being the best, not just in Jamaica, but the best in the region and the best in the world in terms of our practices. And so when that's the ambition, you also want to attract talent, and you're open to talent. And so that I was the guinea pig at the time, but since then we have accelerated the brain pour. We've had a number of other Jamaicans come back and join NCB. So that combined with incredible talent from Jamaica has really been a key ingredient in driving the transformation that you've seen.
Okay.
Oh,
And as we talk about transformation, you came back in 2010. And
Yes.
oh, it's a long time to come back now.
I know, I can't believe it's been 13 years. So,
Yeah.
you add that to 20. No, I came back when I was 15.
10, you are a child prodigy.
9-year-old is very good at math.
No, but as you mentioned your children, um,
Yes.
as you've transformed as a leader, where you came back, you subsequently got married and had children. How has that changed your leadership style and caused like increased things like empathy and how you operate in the work environment, experiencing family and career? How has that transformed for you, and how have you been helping other women with that?
Being a parent, I would say, multiplied my empathy tenfold or more. My first daughter, Nyla, she was sick all the time. She got sick quite a bit when she started going to nursery. And so, admittedly, when I didn't have a child and I was just, a single person, and persons are need to be out, you understand, but you don't understand, right? And so I appreciate the increased level of empathy that having a child helps to create. It also helped me to connect with my team members who had children, because we have different things to talk about that, and where that dimension wouldn't have been there previously. So it definitely increases your empathy. It humbles you because you can be this, you know, pardon my French, but I've been, looking at Bozomo St. John, and give me this badass corporate, you're in your heel suit. By the way, I don't wear a suit anymore. It's been a long time. But, motherhood, parenthood humbles you because you are not always right. You are not perfect. You are like, the good thing is that no matter what, you are unconditionally loved. So that's the balance, because nobody else loves you unconditionally, like your kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chris says, big up from your PSOJ peeps.
Big up, Chris.
So, Nadine, we talked about the impact that you've had on NCB since you've been there. And I mean, with all of the things that you do in your corporate portfolio, you've still managed to make the foundation a very major focus to the extent that you are now the CEO of the foundation. Why has that been so important to you?
Um, so a big part of, I talked about leaving McKinsey and the need for meaning. And a big part of my source of meaning is contributing to making Jamaica better. And there are two very distinct ways that I see myself contributing to that. So, the digital transformation of NCB and the country more broadly, I do 100% and firmly believe that it's really a platform for unlocking growth. If we are able to move from becoming consumers as a society and becoming producers, then that's really the a big opportunity for game change. So we're not just the raw materials anymore. We're not just buying the products. We're not just users of Facebook and TikTok, my favorite. We are going to be the creators of these blockbuster unicorns. Firmly believe that. So I'm going to put that in the space. The foundation then allows me to empower the citizens so that that vision can become a reality. And so it's been really rewarding to be crucial in the transition of our strategy to focusing on digital education. And I make the distinction that it's not digital literacy because our people are very digitally literate.
Yes.
It's about enabling persons with skills to develop robots, as we would have seen this week, develop software, develop digital media, and sell that to the world
Yeah.
so that you can generate income for yourself, your family, your community, and then on a larger basis, the country. So that makes, I don't think about work-life balance because I get this question a lot as well. Because for me, if you say work life, it immediately implies that you view those as separate things. And I'm like, I only have one life. So everything has to be integrated. Everything has to align. And so the question is, life is finite. It's one of those things. Time is finite. It's tricky. And we also don't even know when that timeline is going to end.
Yeah.
So the question always has to be, what is it that I want out of this one life? And how do I make work, family, friends, all of that come together to align? And so that will look different at different stages in your life. When I didn't have kids, the goal was very much learning as much as I can, working as hard as I can. So long hours are parts of the picture. Today, no matter what, I'm breaking at 6 o'clock, going to have dinner with the girls because I'm home. And we're hybrid. And then if there are things to do, then I'll come back. But we're not going to give up on dinner time. So the doing both, I mean, people are like, how do you manage this portfolio? And I'm like, it all aligns. It all aligns with what gives me meaning, what makes me wake up and excited every morning, the legacy that I want to leave, the example that I want to set for my daughters. So because of that, it does not feel as overwhelming as it sounds when people read out all the titles.
Yeah, because it all aligns.
On the line.
Yeah. So you just mentioned dinner time. There
Yes.
was in fact a study that was done at UA that looked to see what were some of the challenges with how children argue and are able to express and comprehend, and some of the violence and stuff, and the breakdown of the family. And do you know what the thing was that was missing?
Roshi is breaking up for me.
Yes, she's breaking up for me too. Her internet is not the most reliable at times.
I can relate.
We we won't load them up. So, well, in the meantime, I want to read a comment that Claudine made. Mrs. Blair is such an inspiration as a part of the NCB Scholar. As an past NCB scholar under her stewardship, I can attest to her brilliance and her huge heart for the youth. She shows up effortlessly despite the many hats that she wears, and she never fails to impart knowledge and a burst of energy that leaves you feeling empowered with every encounter. This is what makes it worth it, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you for sharing that, Kathy. I'm not seeing the comments. I probably go and read them all after, but it's important to give and to teach. And the way it shows up is always when you least expect it, like in a comment on YouTube Live. So thank you to all our NCB scholars that are out there watching. I love you, love you, love you.
Rashi, you're back.
Yeah, so I was saying that dinner time
Yes.
one of the missing factors, because that's where you heard about Children's Day. That's where children learned how to have their voices heard. So it prepared them for this larger world. So when you say that, it sounds simple, and we know it is not easy. To gather for dinner time is actually easy, where you just put it down and you're on the phone, but to stop at dinner time. And then I say, Nadeen, what was growing up like for you? What were your dinner times like? You came of age in the US, and you were a minority from the Caribbean, and you excelled. What was that like, being a Black girl in the US? That would have been different for us in Jamaica.
So to answer that, I have to start with my childhood in Jamaica, which was a lot of joy. All I remember is running up and down, being very free. So in Bridgeport, my parents didn't have a car. My sister and I would walk to school, and we just knew that we couldn't come home without the other. So even if one left the other, mostly my sister leaving me. Yeah, I'm calling you out, girl. Keep that away on the corner until I arrived so that we could go home together. But everyone on the avenue, Savoy Avenue, our gates were open. So morning time, we would just leave, go to each other's houses. There was no question. In fact, I had two friends, Roxanne and Philip, and they were so close that they just cut the fence in between their house. So it would just make it easier to go back and forth, right? Philip taught me how to ride a bike, and then at a certain time, you just know it's time to come in. So that joyous, safe type of childhood is what I would want for every Jamaican child.
Yeah.
I want that for my children. I want that for every Jamaican child, because we know that's not the case today.
Yeah.
So I went to Bridgeport Primary School, great teachers, love Bridgeport Primary School. And so when I moved to the US in Jamaica, no one had ever told me that I couldn't do something. Not my parents, not my teachers, and certainly never told me that I couldn't do something because of the color of my skin. And that was fortunate, because when those, Michelle Obama calls them seeds of inferiority, started to be planted, I didn't even realize. And that's a big distinction between the experience of an immigrant of African descent and the African American experience. And it's very important to appreciate, because when those seeds are being planted from the day you're born, it is an advantage when you have that confidence. So I was in elementary school, junior high school, and there were these exams called the Regents exams, and math was my thing. And I'm like, I'm going to get 100. And the teacher's like, no, nobody has ever gotten 100. This is an inner city school. And my friends are like, you really think you can get 100? I'm like, yeah. Like the uncertainty is perplexing me. And so I go on to get 100, and I get that 3 times. And again, still not processing what's happening, right? Still not processing that I'm being questioned, because I am this little Black girl. And then when I took the exam and passed for the top high school in New York, Stuyvesant High School, the guidance counselor called in my parents, and they were just he was like, oh, this has never happened before, and maybe you shouldn't send her because it's going to be really stressful. The school is in Manhattan. She lives in the Bronx. And of course, my mother, she doesn't curse, but she let me know that, like, what are you really saying? My daughter passed the test and she's going. And so that's the second thing that I had, which is this support and confidence from my parents. And so that I believe that I'm intelligent and smart, but it's easy for that to be broken down if you're not in the right environment. And so That foundation in Jamaica, where I was never questioned, I was never belittled for being a little black girl. My parents, who have always been supportive, my sisters, even today we laugh about it, because if any one of us is feeling down, the other one would be like, "Do you know who you are? Do you know? You're Nadeen," and then you're like, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's do this." So the lesson is just how important that is, and I encourage each of us to be that for our friends, to be that for our family members, and to be that for our children, because that's the impressionable stage. It's not that you want to tell them that they're not going to make mistakes, but even in mistakes, that's all right. You're gonna learn something from that mistake. And so I'm grateful for my upbringing in Jamaica. It protected me in my very early immersion and into the New York context, the US context.
Oh. So, we love to talk about our circle and our support system here at Emerge, and the fact that you touched on it a while ago brings me to your sorority. We know that you're a proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And for a lot of us that grew up in the Caribbean, that don't have the exposure, or didn't have the exposure to, the Greek societies, what led you to becoming a soror? And, tell us about that sisterhood. And of course, the importance of how it translates into your wider circle of support that you talked about.
Yes. So because I even though by the time I got to university, I'd been in the States for a while, I still didn't know anything about sorority life. No one in my family had been in a sorority, obviously. No one in my network in the Bronx had been in a sorority. And so my first exposure to sororities and Greek life was at Binghamton University. And I admired the women of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, my sorors. But it wasn't something that I wanted to just jump into just because I admired them. So I did my research, and I actually didn't pursue initiation until my senior year. Because again, it's not something that I wanted to jump into lightly. So the sorority has an amazing legacy, and Sisterhood Scholarship Service. The women in the organization live that day in, day out. In addition to the women in the chapter in which I was initiated, I have a sisterhood of women all over the world, including in Jamaica, where there's a chapter. Not many persons know that. There's a Jamaica alumni chapter here that does a lot of great work. So yeah, it wasn't something that I knew that I'd do. Obviously, not knowing anything about Greek life, I don't even think I'd watch School Days because I couldn't watch certain movies, and I'm pretty sure I didn't see School Days until I got to university. So it was brand new, and in learning about the organization, it aligns, right?
Yeah.
It aligns with who I am at the core. And so then the decision became very straightforward and very easy. Now, too bad I'm wearing pink today, though. But that's the story.
Most people won't understand, so it's okay.
But Nadeen, you are one of the things that if people follow you, first thing, Nadeen is like great fun on Instagram. She is just fun on Instagram, but also lots of material of books you're reading, conferences that you attend. And then on LinkedIn, you're always sharing information. So, you talk about alignment, but in all of this, you are continuing to learn and feed. You say you are multi-passionate, ever learning and transforming. And we love say, I don't have any time. I want to read, but I don't have any time.
Yes. Whew, so much there. So, one of my biggest life lessons has been around the importance of continuous learning and the importance of being coachable. So, two different things. So, I'll unpack that a little bit more. So, continuous learning. If I was satisfied with my MBA and Wharton, there's nothing other than my amazing network that I learned in the classroom that really relates to the role that I do today. Because when I attended business school, we weren't learning about artificial intelligence. We weren't learning about digital transformation. We weren't even learning about digital marketing. And I was a marketing major. And so that's the first thing. If you're not continuously learning, then at a certain point, everything that you know is going to be obsolete, and you're not prepared to participate in the world, which continues to be just very, very, very dynamic. So just like companies can become obsolete, you as an individual can become obsolete if you're not continuously learning. So this doesn't mean that you put yourselves into a master's program every year or a PhD program. There are books, there are webinars, and there's so many free ones now, or affordable ones now with digital and all of that. There are conferences, and there are people. So when I wanted to start learning about how to invest in real estate, I just called one of my colleagues who's a big time real investor and sat down and take notes. Say, how you do this thing? Yeah. So there's so many sources of learning, but wanting to learn is a mindset. And that's where I get into the coachable part. So before I jump off that, I mentioned the free courses, but some of the things may not be free. And be willing to invest in yourself, because you're your biggest asset and you're the ones that are going to make your dreams come true. So if you don't want to invest in yourself, I'm not really sure how that ROI is going to go. Yeah. So I invested in myself when I went to business school. I left JPMorgan Chase. People were like, why are you leaving your good job to go be unemployed and go to business school? It was an investment in myself. So being coachable, the best in the world, the best athletes, the best everyone in the world is coachable, meaning you're willing to take feedback, tech talking, right? Michael Jordan, there's a fabulous story about how he found his personal trainer. The man wrote to everybody on the Bulls, only he responded. My boss makes a joke all the time around, if you look at coaches, hurdlers, they probably can't go over a hurdle, but they coach. Yes. And so there's a lot that can be learned by somebody who is independently observing, has your best interest at heart, and is an expert and can teach you some lessons. So it takes two, because you can be smart and know a lot, but when that's combined with arrogance, that's actually ignorance. So let's not confuse the two. So continuous learning is mindset. There's learning all around. Some of my best learning, especially on leadership, didn't come from my supervisors. It came from my team members. It came from junior persons giving me difficult feedback, right? Feedback with even tears in some of those sessions. And those are learning opportunities as well. So I read a lot. I share a lot because I love to teach. So when I used to teach my dollies, right? So I used to have them on the bed, and I don't know if I should say this on YouTube, but I used to beat them with the ruler. Guys, I don't beat kids with the ruler, but yes. And then, so educating has always been with me. When I was in university, I thought about becoming a professor. Daddy, we won't talk about how that was. I know you're watching. Where I ended up majoring in financial economics, and things went great. But at NCB, I go to the corporate learning campus and teach. I go to the universities and give talks. I teach my children. My husband will say, "You're the best teacher, so you just go on do the homework." Yeah, man. I'm going to mess it up. Yeah. So I love to educate, and Rochelle, you know this, that one of the things I am passionate about is more sharing, because a lot of the challenges we have, particularly as women, is because we don't share the information. Nobody knows. No one knows why at a particular age. I'm not at that age yet. You may feel very warm. I didn't read in any books the things that I experienced following childbirth, and so we just need to share more. So as I learn, I want to share. So when I'm I do more listening on Audible now than reading. And I know sometimes my husband gets tired. By the way, big up my husband, super supportive. Also important for women, like it's either a supportive partner or none at all. Yes. So I always want to, on our date nights, tell him all the things that I read in the book, all the lessons. And he's like, "Okay, honey, that's so good. Yeah, man, yeah. And TikTok, guys, TikTok is amazing. So first of all, the algorithm is very powerful. And I think when you say TikTok, people think you're watching dance videos. Yeah. Even though I love to dance, I'm not watching dance videos. I'm watching a lot of things on parenting. That's one of my favorite topics. I'm watching things on wealth building. I'm watching things on organizing my home. I'm watching things on leadership. And those are the videos that I see. So then when, and I got my husband on TikTok because he thought it was crazy too. And then he got on it and loves it. But then he'll come to me and he's like, "Did you see so-and-so video?" And I'm like, first of all, we're not going to get the same thing. AI, the algorithm serves you based on what you're looking for. And second of all, I'm not looking for dancehall videos. So no, honey, I did not see it. Right? I didn't see it. Okay?
So I need to come to a TikTok 101 class because TikTok confuses me and hurts my head. I cannot.
Yeah. So Sade, my colleague and good friend, she was the one that told me about the algorithm being so impressive. Mm-hmm. And so I finally relented and looked into it, and the rest is history. I love it. I don't post, but I definitely consume a lot of content on TikTok. And I had a meeting with my team on Friday, and I shared some TikTok videos. Some videos that I learned about on TikTok. So there was one about Shaquille O'Neal and how the team rallied around him to help him score 61 points against the Lakers. And then, Kobe standing back and breaking his 40-point per game streak to have Shaq and be a part of the team. So, the things are useful. TikTok, call me.
Listen, Roland said, "You're fun in real life." And then he says, "But somehow the dancehall videos still seem to find you."
No. Who is that? Who is that saying those things? Who is that with the fake news?
Listen, Wait, so Scotty wants to know what part of the Bronx did you live? Because she said it has to be Williamsbridge or Wakefield, because that's where all of the Jamaicans lived when they moved.
No. It's funny that you should say that. So we lived in Tracy Towers, which is off Marshall Parkway. So there weren't many Jamaicans there. We lived there because my mother, she recently retired from nursing, but the hospital that she worked at, North Central Bronx, was really close by. And so that was a very interesting dynamic because New York has lots of
Jamaican
Caribbean people and Jamaican people, obviously, but they all live in Brooklyn or they all live in.
All of my family lived in Brooklyn.
So I didn't re-engage with Jamaican people in a big way until university. So, everybody in my building was African American or we say Spanish, but Latino or Latina, and so that's very interesting because again, having lived in Jamaica, then really in a Black and Latin American construct, that was a really new learning experience. And then my high school was predominantly Asian and Jewish. So that was a very interesting experience as well. But was re-immersed in the Caribbean culture when I got to university. My best friend in the whole wide world is Grenadian. So yeah.
Wow. Stacy actually says, "Hey, Stacy, that you introduced her to a great quote about learning. The illiterate of the 21st century will not who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn,
and relearn."
One of the things too, Nadeen, let me tell you though, I mean, it's so exciting. So we're trying to squeeze in all of the things. Because in
the last 10 minutes.
So as you're speaking to, and I see team members, hey Roland has a ball. And I see it was Charmaine Claudine who is a recipient of the NCB Foundation. One of the things, sometimes that, and as we are in Women's History Month, is we get painted with all kind of brushes. If you did do this, you did do that for reach there, you must be a certain type of woman, like people, all kinds of things. And we don't talk enough about the importance of that sponsorship in the organization and how we send the elevator down, we open the door so that more of us can squeeze in, and we say, come drop your chair, my girl, sit down right at the table here with me. How important is that to you, and how do you exemplify? Don't let me answer the question because we know how you do it, but I think it's just so important that we share this, because this is what it's all about.
Sponsorship is critical. And I tell people all the time, there's no job that you can walk out of law school, business school, university, anywhere, day one, and walk into the job and know what you're doing. Someone has to teach you the ropes because you're bright, you come with the raw talent, but then someone has to show you the ropes of that particular role. And in the US context, that's the struggle that Black people, women, people of color have, because there aren't enough people who are showing us the ropes. So I reflect back on how this has played out in my career. When I left university, I went to JPMorgan Chase and I joined the management trainee program. 40 students were in a classroom in Manhattan for 4 months doing accounting, finance, all of this. And then at the end of it, we're supposed to be assigned to different offices around New York, and I really wanted to be assigned to Manhattan, an office in Manhattan, because it's Manhattan. And though doing exceptionally well, at the end of the 4 months, they're like, we're going to assign you to the Bronx White Plains office because since you're from the Bronx, we thought it would be a great fit. Yeah. And so, you know, the lesson at the end of this is rejection is protection, and setbacks are often a setup for a blessing. So I went to the Bronx Westchester office, and not even though I was disappointed, I fixed my attitude because I was going to do my best, and I started as a credit analyst, and I was sponsored or taken under the wing this my colleague Eamon Quinn, this Irishman, older Irishman. He took me under his wing. He's like, you're gonna come out on customer calls with me. So I would go out on these customer calls with him, and not many credit analysts had that opportunity. So that helped me to write even better credit reports. And then ultimately, I started to learn the ropes of being a relationship manager. And to fast forward, I ended up being the third person in a class of 40 to be promoted to assistant vice president and relationship manager. And that probably would not have been the case in New York, you know, with everybody, you know, big glitzy, yes, but you need to be in a supportive environment. You need to be in an environment where someone's gonna teach you, right? You know you have the talent, so don't feel any way. But we need persons who are going to show us the ropes and then speak highly of us when we're not in the room. Like, yeah, no, you need this girl on your team. So, you know, all of us need that. So I say sometimes a person should think about not just focus on title, not just focus on company, not just focus on the office, as was the case with JPMorgan. Are you in an environment where somebody has your back, someone is willing to show you the ropes and have you learn and sponsor you? And if that's not there, then it's important to find environments where that exists.
You know, the first time I heard you tell that JP Morgan story, I mean, when I say something stick, and it's not age specific, it's at any point in your life. You know, sometimes we signed up for a particular thing and it doesn't work that way, and we're like, so why am I have to go to other place there? I know that I did want, but you need to be in that other space. That's your space where you are going to grow. And as you said, the mindset is the mindset to take it all in, and at the end of the day, that your name is called in rooms that you never even knew existed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just want to big up Thalia Lynn, who's the chair of the NCD Foundation, because she models this every day. I mean, sometimes she called my name so much that I'm like, and my CEO, she is excellent at this. Allow me to volunteer her to come and, you know, help you with this. I mean, like, so she's a great role model for me because the way she advocates for women and people and her philanthropy is very inspiring and it's very motivating.
Yep. Jodiana says, Miss Nadeen has been a great coach to me and a loud cheerleader. She is grateful.
Hi, Miss Jody.
Wow, Nadeen, I feel like, as usual, there's not enough time, right? Our time is up, and I know your bedtime is close. But I just want
Why can't they have to share my business like that? Yes, guys, My bedtime is close because I get up at 4 o'clock. Oh my God.
Listen, you don't need to justify it. Everybody know by 8 o'clock I'm falling asleep. This is a struggle for me. So please, there is absolutely no shame. So before you go though, there's two things I want to ask you. I want you to give us your best advice about leadership.
Mhm.
And then Rochelle has a question that she asks all of us that stops us in our tracks, and I'm going to have her ask you that question as well. Best advice about leadership
Best advice about leadership.
that you would
Um,
like to share or that you have received from somebody.
so as a leader, we are socialized and conditioned to think that the leader is the head, and the leader is an order taker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's been one of the biggest, talk about unlearn, right, Miss Stacy? One of my biggest personal unlearnings, because the leader, yes, at the end of the day, after everything is considered, may have the authority to take the ultimate decision. However, you will not be able to advance on a mission if you don't have people with you, and that team needs to be beside you. That team needs to uh, know that you have listened to them, that you respect them, and that at the end of the day, you're you have their best interest at heart, and you really are managing their best interest and the overall, we call it the mission, because not all leadership is around corporate. You lead in your home, you lead in your social endeavors. So I think that's the biggest myth and social conditioning that I've had to unravel and relearn, that it is not do as I say. That is not leadership.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, the comments are insane, right? So Shana said, I'm really happy I got the chance to watch this. Miss Nadine, I feel motivated just watching this. You're a wealth of knowledge. Renee said she's so inspired by you and this conversation.
Thank
Roland
you.
said,
Thank
I
you.
hear Nadine manages to pull some things out of you that you didn't even know that you had. She's an excellent strategist to ask toughest questions. Finding the right answers makes you better.
Yes, that's part of the learning process. I mean, my team knows I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to show that I don't know. Can't be
Wow.
a continuous learner if you're gonna be a pretender.
That is
Yeah,
right.
like I said, knowledge and arrogance is ignorance. Yeah.
My
Wow.
question, Roshi.
Yeah, so Nads, as you have looked at this journey, uh, a multi-jurisdictional journey, that
Yes.
you have been this continuous learner, and you've done so many things. If you stopped at this moment and you were asked this question, Nadine Matthews Blair, if you were to give yourself an award at this moment, what award would you give to yourself?
I would give myself that continuous learning award. Yeah, and let me see if I can describe it in another way. I mentioned earlier that I've had discussions with teammates.
Mhm.
Have had to give me really hard feedback and even tears. So, um, I am proud of my willingness to learn hard lessons and to move forward from that.
Mm.
So I would give myself the Continuous Learner Award.
Um,
Wow.
so as we wrap up though, Nadine, the 21-year-old who was in the US at the time,
Mm.
when you look back at her and her dreams and what she was like, what would you say to her today? You're gonna talk about tough question.
um, so a lot of the lessons are in hindsight. I don't know that I knew them at 21. I didn't know that failure was part of the lesson plan. That rejection was my protection, and I always knew that I was bright. Like I said, people have been telling me that from I was a little girl in Jamaica, but it at a particular point in your career, it's not about how much you know. So that was important. We're in Women's History Month, and my parents and I are from humble beginnings, and one of the things that I learned. So fortunately, they've always been great savers, right? Um, but I didn't learn until later the importance of making sure you're putting your money to work, and that takes more than saving. Investing, um, so that you're making your money grow. And this is not about being greedy or lifestyle. I don't buy a lot of things, but I want to make sure that I am financially independent and have something to leave to the children, right? And have a little freedom, not stressing about retirement and the things that, again, back to the integration. I love to travel, and so I want the freedom to do that. So I want women to get comfortable with math and get comfortable with your money. Is your money? Yes, very important. And many of us learn that too late, because a lot of these things we can't beat ourselves up. We have to give ourselves grace. In the US, I think up to the 1970s, women couldn't even get their own credit card,
Yeah.
or a mortgage. So we just didn't know. We didn't have that learning. But now that we do, let us embrace it. Let us watch some TikTok videos on it. Don't be intimidated. It's very important. If your goal is independence, freedom, leaving a legacy, then you have to take control of that. So those are some things I would tell my 21-year-old self.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there's some 21-year-old selves and some 40-odd-year-old and 50-odd-year-old selves.
That's very useful information.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody that's watched to share and share and share. I think this is a great gift. This gift of Nadine just dropping not just gems, but just openly sharing her journey with us. An amazing journey, but a journey that's continuing. Because just even hearing you speak, you know that there is more to go. And her encouragement that this life is a classroom. It's a classroom. So we continuously learning. And what we never learned yesterday, we can learn today.
That's
Nadine,
right.
we are grateful that you have been a part of our journey. We have admired you, and you are truly an inspiration. And I'm thinking, yeah, the 21-year-old self is like, yeah, girl, you done real good. You done real good. No, Nadine, it just nice for see we just a rise and a bloom and a thrive, and that we're sponsoring and we're bringing more. And we're not just bringing more, we're bringing more people of color, more of us from humble beginnings, and showing it can be done Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies, and big up to you for having this platform. It is really inspiring. It is doing the work of facilitating this sharing. So we can learn, right? So I really appreciate each of you. Naomi's not on. I'm going louder up on WhatsApp. I miss her, but I hope everything is all right. But really, it's we are also conditioned to not take risks, and you have stepped out. Kathy and Roshi, I know your faith is so strong, right? And this is really a blessing for me and for us. So thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Did you see Lauren's comment?
Yeah.
I was not familiar with Nadeen before tonight, but now I know. Wonderful inspirational speaker that speaks from her heart. Wonderful time again. And Lorian, you said yourself, you never find Nadeen. Oh my God.
Right, that there, Wilbert Matthews.
He's been commenting all night.
Nadeen, where? Because you know some people have them phone right now.
Where can they find you?
So LinkedIn is the social media platform that I have open. I am on IG, that's private. I am on TikTok. I'm just watching videos. So LinkedIn is really my space for sharing and connecting. So follow me there. I want to learn from you. So link me on LinkedIn, please.
And I see, hi, our sister. I see Natalia on. Wow,
so thank you again, Nadeen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode. We will be. Kimala said, excellent interview. And by the way, Kimala doesn't comment, Nadeen, and she has left several comments. She's usually hiding, and we get WhatsApp messages after the show or during. Okay, she doesn't comment live.
Remember my little fabric?
Yes.
Of friends from all over the place. Yep. Blessed to have Kimala as part of that too. Yes. That came out at Capital Quest.
Yep.
And that was a blessing as well.
Good. Your dad said he's sorry that he didn't get a chance to go to Holy Childhood. Well, I'm sure Kim
common entrance. So that will, I'm sure my 9-year-old might go do a Google search and realize, aha, because she's intent on finding out the age. I did common entrance and left shortly after that. So had I stayed, I would have been going to Holy Childhood High School.
Yes, well, Kimala was the head girl for Holy Childhood.
Yes. I'm one of my best friends at university. Also went to Holy Childhood, and we would have been in the same year. So it's funny how that full circle.
Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We will see you next week.
May God bless you, Nadeen, for more.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.